welcome to Concrete Moss Scrap More with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we're going to show you how to make Dresdens with the points, the peaks on the top. And now this is a different way of creating a Dresden and giving you a different aesthetic for the Dresdens than the old-fashioned traditional curved Dresden that we had worked on last time. But one thing I would like to talk to you about is a YouTuber called Stephen Bland. He runs his channel as The Idiot Quilter, and he does all sorts of really cool things with quilting and long arming and that 3D printing. He just does a lot of fun, and he has been so kind and so welcoming and so generous to our channel, helping us out and getting us going. So I'm going to leave one in the show notes for you to go check them out, and we'll come on in and we'll get to the sewing. Okay, so we're here at the sewing machine, and the first thing we have to do is we're going to make, you can see I've already made these and they're double pointed. If you just want to do a single point, you would just put your Dresdens good side to good side, just like that, fold it in half, and run it along the top only. And that would give you a single point Dresden. Then you would finish your center very much like you did on the last one. On the last video where we were showing you the old-fashioned Dresdens, where you'd sew around a round template, and you would make your center out of a different cloth and all the rest of the stuff. I prefer this method because it is so much faster and so much easier on me to do. I don't have to sit there and stitch and sew and fret and wonder if everything's going to look right. So now I've got I'm flipping them over, and I'm going to run them so that you put just the bottoms, and you want to line up that bottom as best you can. I don't even know if you can see that bottom there, just like that. You want to line this up just as smooth and slick as you can, and run it through. And then run it through, like you would do like 20 of these at a time. And you wouldn't have to, if you're just working with scraps, you could put any color together, really. As long as you've got good contrast between the colors, and you can see each individual color. Now, we're not going to do color placement as a case study because I'm already showing you how to get on a monochromatic to get the best way to see your colors, right, by using it as dark, medium, and light. And now we're just going to cut these apart. Now, there's a couple of challenges with these. Okay. First off, when you're turning them, you have a really bulky area here, right at the tip, right at the tip. Now, you can trim off that tip to 1/8, just like that, if you want to. And it does make a difference on how sharp your point is at the top. I don't always do that because sometimes at 1/8, you only need really 1/8 seam to make a seam. But I mean, it kind of weakens it too, depending on what you're going to use this for. And if you're going to do the top, you'd also do the bottom, right? If you're making double-ended ones, right? So you just trim to 1/8, flip it over so that bulk is as much bulk of it is removed as possible. Just like so. Just like so, right? Okay, so now, like I say, some people do, some people swear by it, some people, it's a Dresden, But anyway, so you take it. Now I use a knitting needle, and you can use that purple thing or whatever, and you just gently maneuver. Don't push at all. Now you also can do the other end at the same time if you're doing a double-ended. These are much simpler to work with, much nicer to work with. And they look a little fancier. It looks more, like you've actually put more effort into it or whatever. I do find I like these a lot better. And it's not sewing that tiny curve in the middle, so. And whatever you do, don't push through, because you will ruin your tip. and that's something right now you can't come back from. So, well, you'd have to cut another piece out of your scrap. So, wow. Now, like we don't have enough scraps, right? Okay, so now, as we're ironing these, and I'll cut away to iron, you want to spread open that seam. So it's kind of a good idea to kind of finger press it open a bit. You know, just get along there, and especially that seam. Now, I take a square, and this is two-sided freezer paper that I've ironed together to make a triangle. And what it does, it pushes that little bit squarer, and you just finger press along there, just to make sure you've got that good square going. And you do the other end, and you press it into the peak, and then you just press it down with your finger. And I mean, if you wanted to do the whole, you know, go to the ironing board and all that stuff, yes, you could definitely do that right now. That would probably be a good idea. But this way, you get a really sharp corner in your work, right? Because you want that to come together at like a good 45 degree, right? So, there. Anyway, oops, this one didn't fold open. So I'm just going to open this up, just like so. Finger press that just a bit so it stays open while I push this in to the corner. And then I just finger press my line, and I do the base as well. And there we go. And we'll get that last one done, and we'll start sewing them together. Yeah, because this is, like I say, this is a lot faster way of finishing a Dresden than the traditional method of, and they, a lot of times too, they wouldn't sew on the center. They would, the sewing machine, they would do it by hand, and they would sew the plate on by hand, which is like a lot of work if you know, if you're not ready for it. Anyway, so let's get this sewn. Let's get this thing sewn together. You want to line up your top as tight as you can, right? So that seam is absolutely perfectly level. Now, there we go. Now we want to line up the bottoms as well, so that they are that perfect 1/4 inch. And we'll do the next one. Oops. There. Line this up so this is perfectly matched, and that way you get the right look on that joint, on that seam. And then you want to line up the base. Don't pull, because this is a bias. There we go. Yeah, I'll run that through. Okay, now we'll open that up. Now we want it set like that. So we want to see where this is on top. You want to take time to line this up, this part up here. And a lot of people have been doing Dresdens lately. I think they're kind of, they come and go out of fashion, it seems like. I mean, I always loved a good Dresden one, a good Dresden quilt, so. And you can play around with these. Actually, the Dresdens you can do lots with a Dresden. Okay, so now we're gonna start sewing it on to the circle, the last little bit. And you line that up so it's nice and neat. And there. Okay, and there we go. And the last seam. before we take it off to the ironing board. There, and I'm lining that up again, lining up your bottoms too. And if you find one is a little tad longer than the other, put that one on the bottom. The feed dogs will bring it up and make it the right length. And sometimes you have that issue too, right? You know. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to iron it. And I'm going to try and iron it with my seams open, right? So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. I'm just put it on a smaller fat quarter, and I'm just going to take just a minute or two, because this is a little full for some reason, which happens occasionally. And what people would do is they would take one of the blades out. That's what they do. You know, if it was a little too full, they would just take a blade out and make it a little smaller. And when you look at some of these very old quilts, you know, done by women with, you know, they were trying to get stuff done. They weren't trying to make it perfect. They were trying to get bedding done, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just quickly run around the outside here. And I'm going to switch feet because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. Now, when you're doing these, make sure that your stitch is a little bit bigger, because that helps ease stuff in too, right? So you've got this. Now I'm going to go around the outside first. And I've got, basically all you're going to do is top stitch, right? So when you're top stitching, you go to exactly where the seam is. You lift your foot, you pivot, and you go around that way. And pivot, back down to the seam, needle down, pivot. And you're going to do that all the way around. Oops, I went a little bit too far pivoting. You're going to go do this all the way around the outside of the block. Okay, and you go to the seam, and you drop your needle down right in that seam, and you pivot. That's the easiest way to do this, okay? Now I'm going to show you, this one's a little full, so bear with me. See, it's a little full, so what you're going to do is you're going to push it down into place, and you're going to get to the seam, pivot with it pushed down into place. There we go. Pivot, and suddenly it's magically there. Now I'm going to continue around, and like I say, I will be flattening fullness, and I'll meet you back to show you what I do to the center. Okay, so now we have a 4-inch square with the bee fabric again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to place it down, and I'm just going to put a pin right about the center, and I've got good coverage everywhere. Yeah, I'm good. So I'm just going to put a pin in the middle, you know, just to hold it in place, essentially is what we're doing. We're holding it in place because we're going to stuff it under the Dresden, right? Just like so. I'm going to put this in underneath. And wasn't that a lot quicker making a yellow center? And now we're just going to sew around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this. Now I have left my pins in there for a reason. And I can make this a 2-dimensional by just sewing around the edge, like in a circle, a larger circle, and then leaving these to pop open if I want. And they would still be a closed seam because, you know, or I can do whatever I want. I think I'm just going to go around. I'm just going to go around and make this happen very quickly. Instead of going up and down and up and down and up and down. Like you can go back and forth too around these, you know, if you want. I mean, that would be perfectly acceptable too. But this is a little quicker. And we are trying to show you some quick tips on how to do stuff too while we're doing these. The traditional one, the very basic traditional one, they would use muslin, not interfacing. for the back ones. Like, I haven't used any muslin or interfacing on this. I've just, you know, okay, here we go. This is what we're doing. And there we go. There. Everybody's got their own idea too about Dresdens. I hope we have a fun. Those templates I gave you guys. These Dresden blades are only 4.5 inches high, so you would take that one very plain Dresden where it says make 20, and you would just go through and make your 20 Dresdens, but you would use only a 4.5 inch strip of fabric to cut them from, where you put the bottom of the template, the skinny part of the template, to the one end. Oh, that one's coming out. I might as well go out. There. And here we go. Right to the end. Okay. Now I'm just going to pull pins out and pull my work, and we'll get to that ta-da moment. Well, wasn't that fast and easy? That was a lot quicker than you thought it was going to be. And this is the beauty of a double-pointed Dresden. You could do just the single-pointed Dresden and then finish it the same way we did on the traditional one, but this was a much faster finish. And if we're going to make lots of quilts and get our scraps under control, yeah, we're going to have to go fast. So, what do you think of this? Let us know. If you have a sewing machine that does fancy stitches and your top stitching isn't so great, you know, you can put like your fancy stitches around here, you know, around this strip and around the outside, and everybody will think it's just lovely. So, you know, this is the time when a quilter would pull out their fancy stitches. I personally, if I've made kind of, you know, a mess with my top stitching, I would do hand embroidery because I have lots of embroidery floss, so I'm trying to get rid of it. So this is what we do. And now I will figure out eventually what size blocks I'm going to make, but for now I'm using up a fat quarter of like something that had a little bit of green with it, and I'm going to make scraps, so we're good. It's all good. I hope you have an awesome week ahead. It was lovely to sit and chat with you and do this, so I'm looking forward to the next case study. Will be elongation. So we're back onto a more traditional case study for our channel. So anyways, you have a fabulous week, and I just hope things go so well for you. Okay, bye, take care. My husband and I would like to thank you for watching today. We're so happy about the way our channel has grown, and we just want to wish you so well in your journey along with us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Now, the next thing is this quilt. We are wondering if you guys would like this quilt as a free sew along on this channel this fall, this coming fall, winter. We were kind of thinking that this one would be really fun to do. We could do it in a larger size or a smaller size, it's up to you, but this one was a lot of fun to make. And it's all, it lends itself to being hand stitched, but you can also do this on a sewing machine as well. So let us know in the comments below. Remember, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Okay, have a great week ahead. Bye!